I'm Jeff Passold. Straight ahead, license tab fees. No one likes to pay them, but just how much should they go down? Also, they'd still have nap time, but kindergartners could be going to school full time. And tonight's inquiry, why exercising too much can be bad for your bod. Minnesota 9 News starts right now.
First on 9, here's a no-brainer for you. Would you like to pay less for your license tabs? Well, we're still miles away from a decision, but reducing the cost of license tabs could be a reality sooner than later.
Elizabeth Costello reports from the Capitol on the pros and cons of cutting your car's tabs.
You're darn right I want to get those taxes down on license plates.
It started on the campaign trail. Governor Jesse Ventura's call for lower taxes on license tabs. It's turned into a hot legislative issue. At least 14 senators have introduced or co-authored bills designed to lower tab fees.
We heard a lot about it during the governor's campaign for office, so that was an issue that came up a lot then, and our people heard about that.
The bills range from a straight flat fee to adjusting the depreciating value of your car to a combination of both. 9 bills have been tabled by the Senate Transportation Committee, 2 of them today, and they'll be looked at later. We've heard Ventura talk about it, but he hasn't proposed his legislation just yet.
$46.50?
Tom Bajango wrote the check for $46.50. Even though he's not paying top dollar, he still doesn't like it.
Well, I don't think the process is fair because we already pay enough taxes. I wish it could be lowered because that would be a little cash in my pocket.
But don't get too hopeful. Tab fee cuts could run into a roadblock. If tab dollars are reduced, there'll be a big hole in the transportation budget, meaning not enough cash for snowplows and potholes.
If we take money out of there, as we would by lowering the fees, then we need to fill it with general fund dollars.
And that leaves a hole in the general fund. The lawmaker who comes up with the best answer to replace that money will end up going places. Otherwise, we all could end up exactly where we are. At the Capitol, Elizabeth Costello, Minnesota 9 News.
The Transportation Committee doesn't want to make any moves until it receives Governor Ventura's bill, but you still might not see any changes until April or May, if at all. And vehicle emissions tests could be vanishing into thin air after a plan to end testing in the Twin Cities advanced at the Capitol. The program started 7 years ago because of federal air quality violations. Cars over 5 years old are required to pass carbon monoxide and hydrocarbon tests before license plate tabs are renewed. Now, some lawmakers argue the tests have outlasted their usefulness. If the bill passes, emissions tests would end by July of next year.
You keep working. Now, where's the other piece?
Half or full day? Are 5-year-olds really ready for all-day kindergarten? I'm Barbara Vaughn. We go into the classroom to find out.
His face is caught on tape, and police need your help. A robber hitting 15 places in the last 4 months. I'm Lily McDonald. Watch the pictures coming up.
People started to look at me and thinking I had an eating disorder.
She did, kind of. But instead of starving herself, Jennifer was addicted to exercise. And she's not alone. This is Angela Hampton. How it can happen to the girl next door and how to handle it in tonight's inquiry.
You just could not ask for a more beautiful day to hunt for the Winter Carnival Medallion. Hi, everybody. It's me, Stefan. The hunt is heating up, as you can see, and we're going to visit with some of these prospectors and tell you where they're looking. I'm going to find it. Here we go.
If your child's in kindergarten, you know it's usually a half-day deal. But if Minnesota supplied the extra funding, would you want your kindergartner to go to school all day? How flexible should it be, and how much choice would you get? Barbara Vaughn's going to take us to school.
What does that say?
In 29 years, Ruth McIver has taught a lot of half-day kindergarten classes. This year, under a pilot program at Oak Grove Elementary, she's teaching all day, 5 days a week.
Look at this. What do you see at the top of the puzzle?
Now, state legislators may add all-day kindergarten to Minnesota's education puzzle. Ruth says it's a perfect fit.
I came in with a lot of excitement, but also that's, what's it going to really be? I cannot believe the changes, the growth, the effects that it has had on all the children.
Part of it is pure demographics. Ruth says most of her 20 kids had never been to preschool. For 6, English was a second language. 3 didn't speak it at all. She says academically and socially, all-day kindergarten has helped.
Schools would receive funding based on the number of kids who get free and reduced meals. Those schools with the largest numbers would start getting money next year. And by the year 2005, all schools in Minnesota would have funding for all-day kindergarten.
But is all day too long? They are only 5 years old.
To be honest with you, the first couple days were trying. We do have a rest period every day, and some children sleep, some doze, some just lay there and think.
And just how flexible would it be if you wanted your child in school just half day? Well, it depends on lawmakers.
I feel if they don't care whether they stay all day or not, and the state doesn't mandate that part, then we'll give parents an option. Yes, definitely. There are some parents who stay home just for the purpose of giving their child one-on-one, so that would be fine.
Kindergarten is all about discovery, experiences, building social skills, the foundation of learning. Parents start at first, and people like Ruth build from that.
But because the kids are coming at so many different levels, so many different cultures and lifestyles, I think kindergarten is a good time to start kind of building a continuity for what they're going to need going ahead. And that's why I think the full day has been just fantastic.
The bill is still in the very early stages. It was given preliminary approval today. The Budget Committee is now deciding how much to spend and how to fund it. Also, the full House still needs to consider the issue. Live in the newsroom, I'm Barbara Vaughn.
Okay, parents, teachers, informed citizens, call the 9 line and tell us how you feel about all-day kindergarten. Dial us up at 946-1234. Once again, the number is 946-1234. And we'll play your 9-line comments throughout the newscast.
St. Paul police have a murder victim tonight, and they're searching for a murder suspect. And Tom Lydon is live with the details. Tom, what's going on?
Well, an 18-year-old died here tonight at Concordia and Milton. Let me take you over the crime scene and tell you what we have going on here. As far as police can tell, some kind of drug transaction was going on behind this white car right here. At some point, this 18-year-old ran, and he was shot in the back. St. Paul police say this victim is a known drug dealer. The shooting happened around 6:15 tonight. The victim died right here at the scene as he was taken away by ambulance. Police found drugs and drug paraphernalia around the car. They believe it's crack cocaine. Now, they did take in the driver of this car in connection with this case, and they're interrogating him downtown. But at this point, the investigation is really open-ended.
I've got no sense of a motive right now, whether there are multiple or one assailant, but it was a gunshot. We're trying to accumulate some witnesses now and see what their recollection and sense of what went on was. So that's all I can say right now.
The victim was a known quantity to you, though.
I'm told that he was involved in some other activities and that he is not unknown in the St. Paul Police Department.
St. Paul police kept this car running the whole time. It just recently ran out of gas. They're going to bring in their crime scene people and go over this car, see if they can get any fingerprints. Crime scene's a little difficult for them. One thing is the shortage of light. Also, try looking for crack cocaine in dirty snow. It's not easy. They also haven't found any shell casings in this snow. But again, an 18-year-old is dead here at Milton and Concordia in St. Paul. We're right along I-94. Live in St. Paul, I'm Tom Lydon. Back to you.
And police are looking for suspects after a man was shot and killed in the middle of the street in the middle of the morning. More than one person fled the scene around 9:30 today in North Minneapolis. The area is surrounded by apartment buildings, so police are asking neighbors for information. The victim was in his mid-20s. Still no word on a motive. It's the 4th murder in Minneapolis this year. He's got a reputation for ripping off hotels.
A robber with no fear. But now a surveillance camera has his work on tape. And if you watch closely, maybe, just maybe, you can help police catch a thief before he strikes again. Here's Lillian McDonald.
You've got some facial hair that he's covered up there. You can just see the top of it there.
Watch carefully as this man walks in and takes over.
He seems to know what he's been doing, you know, what he's doing. He's done it before.
He's done 15 robberies, sometimes 3 times in the same day, in the same neighborhood.
Give me all the money, I will hurt you.
Sia Raimi has never been robbed before, but to him, the man who walked into his soccer shop to steal a day's worth of work got away with more than just money.
You feel cheated. You feel that they're taking something away from you that it really doesn't belong to anybody else because you work so hard at it.
Police think the same man has been responsible for 15 robberies in the past 4 months because he always takes the phones and the money. And half of his targets have been hotels.
Obviously, he likes hotels and motels, you know. And most of the time it's later in the evening, but he has hit like about 7:30 at night also.
The string of robberies started last October. First, it was the Best Western, then the Doubletree Hotel, both in Minneapolis. But robberies at hotels and small shops have branched out in burbs like Bloomington, Plymouth, and Eden Prairie. Hotels like the Hampton and the Country Inn, where this video was taken, show the same scene. A man walks in, makes a threat, takes the phone, cordless or not, and walks out with cash. It's a routine this robber is getting away with so far, and something police hope they can stop before anyone gets hurt. Lillian McDonald, Minnesota 9 News.
If confronted, police are recommending to folks just cooperate with the robber. He usually wears a coat, is described as a light-skinned black man just over 6 feet and weighs about 250 pounds. Call police if you have any information about him.
Pretty good-sized guy. You wouldn't think he'd mix right in.
Yeah, don't mess with them. Let the police do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the president's best friend testifies in the impeachment trial. Plus, will Monica Lewinsky be back for the entire Senate? We're going to have the latest from behind closed doors when we come back.
And then later, what's being described as the eating disorder of the next millennium, activity anorexia. Inquiry looks at what you should be looking for when you choose to work out.
And a new at 10 in the Family Survival Kit, living together. If you're moving in before getting married, find out how it could affect your long-term love life. That's tonight at 10.
Minnesota 9 News. More local news every night.
Two witnesses' depositions done and one to go, and some Republicans' hopes for new bombshells in the Senate impeachment trial may be fading.
CNN's Bob Franken has the latest now on today's questioning of presidential friend and Washington power attorney Vernon Jordan.
Vernon Jordan's testimony garnered differing accounts. Sources friendly to the president among the 46 in the room say Mr. Clinton's friend added little that hurt the president's case. House manager sources contend that Jordan's new testimony highlighted inconsistencies with that of Monica Lewinsky. For instance, questions about a December '97 meeting. She says he suggested getting rid of notes Lewinsky wrote to the president. Jordan claimed not to recall the meeting until, according to sources with knowledge of his testimony, he was shown the receipt from the breakfast. After he admitted it must have taken place, Jordan denied ever telling Lewinsky to destroy anything. Publicly, no one was revealing details.
We had questions today from the House manager for almost 3 hours, I believe it was, and we are completed that, and we'll move on to the next phase of this trial.
But sources who were present tell CNN the president's lawyers were so confident Jordan had said nothing harmful, they asked almost nothing. House managers insist they are pleased with their depositions thus far.
We have got some amplification, and we have strengthened some points, and I'm generally pleased with them.
Slated for Wednesday, the deposition of Sidney Blumenthal, the top White House aide who testified before the grand jury, the president discredited Monica Lewinsky as a stalker. On Thursday, the Senate trial reconvenes with a big fight ahead. Both sides say the depositions strengthen their arguments for further testimony and against further testimony. Bob Franken, CNN, Capitol Hill.
Here in Minnesota, President Clinton has an extremely high approval rating, according to the latest Minnesota 9 News Star Tribune Minnesota poll.
71% of Minnesotans approve of Mr. Clinton's performance as president. 26% disapprove of his job, while 3% don't know how they feel. Even though they like what he's doing as president, 64% of Minnesotans have an unfavorable view of Bill Clinton as a person. 29% have a favorable impression of him, while 7% just don't know. And Minnesotans are definitely disappointed with Congress. 52% of residents say they disapprove of the way Congress is doing its job. 39% approve, 9% don't know how they feel. That disapproval appears to come from Minnesotans' belief that the Senate should not convict the president. 68% of respondents say the Senate should not convict and remove Mr. Clinton from office. 27% say he should be removed as president, while 5% have no opinion on this question. And finally, 59% of Minnesotans feel the country is going in the right direction. 34% feel the U.S. is headed in the wrong direction, and 7% have no opinion on this matter.
This Minnesota 9 News Star Tribune Minnesota poll surveyed 818 adults statewide the last week in January. It has a margin of sampling error of plus or minus 3.4%. You can get a complete look at the new Clinton poll in tomorrow's Star Tribune.
You can count Dick Gephardt out of next year's presidential race. The Associated Press says he's not running. Instead, Gephardt's going to work on helping the Democrats regain control of the House of Representatives. Gephardt is the top Democrat in the House, and if they take over in 2000, he pretty much would have a lock on becoming House Speaker.
It's been a rough day for Jordan's King Hussein, but he's said to be in good spirits after getting a bone marrow transplant at the Mayo Clinic. He also just finished another round of chemotherapy in his fight against cancer. Obviously a very exhausting day. The King's brother and sister donated the marrow. And for now, his cancer appears to be under control. King Hussein arrived at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester last week for more treatment.
He's not saying the devil maybe do it, but Reverend Jerry Falwell is apologizing for suggesting last month that the Antichrist is alive and is probably a Jewish man. At a prayer breakfast today in Nashville, Falwell apologized to Jews and Christians alike and said he should have known better.
Yes.
Yeah, and then some.
Yeah, okay. Moving on, up next, one of the weirdest Groundhog Day stories ever. And anger and jealousy, and madness and murder at the Ordway Music Theater. Stay tuned. Better than Melrose Place, the Minnesota Opera is raising the curtain on what could be its third sold-out season. Tickets were going so fast for Othello, the season opener. A second show was added for tomorrow night. It's the story of the evil Iago, who drives Othello so mad with jealousy, he murders his wife.
The word masterpiece is bandied about an awful lot, but this is truly one of the great operas of all time, truly one of the great works of humanity.
Tomorrow night is your best shot at getting some tickets. Otherwise, Othello is close to sold out. Now, you can show up at the box office to try to get those tickets that have been turned back in. But try to go. It's at the Ordway through Saturday. And it's time to see what's new at the video store. There are two new big releases.
So what's the plan? You don't have a plan?
Hey, I'm making...
Mulan could easily kick the Little Mermaid's butt.
No, I wasn't.
Mom, wait.
I wasn't.
We got a bleeder! There's something about Mary is so lewd and so crude, it's hilarious.
Gravy! All right, here's IQ Jones and Luann Lavarowski leading our next dance. Give me gravy on my mashed potatoes.
Our suggestion for a great at-home double feature with Cameron Diaz's gross-out comedy is Hairspray, a film by the original gross-out king, John Waters.
Best line in the movie, Pia Sedora, I am Odetta. Go see that one. Canada's version of Punxsutawney Phil is, or rather was, a groundhog named Wyerton Willie. Now, he's made Groundhog Day predictions every year since 1956. Well, this year, Groundhog Day turned into a funeral for a friend when handlers announced Wyerton Willie's dead.
It is with deep regret that I must inform you that Wyerton Willie passed away Sunday evening.
Well, the announcement was made after about 200 people showed up for a ceremony. Some kids burst into tears there. Well, Willie was brought out in a pine coffin with pennies over his eyelids. As handlers say, they've received at least one last prediction from Willie's spirit. There will be an early spring, which is strange because now Willie's a permanent shadow. Time to channel the latest gossip. Willie, are you there?
Is that a hair gel? The actress who made hair gel a dirty word apparently has a new boyfriend. The buzz from Miami is that Cameron Diaz and Ed Norton were all over each other at a pregame Super Bowl bash. Animal rights activists want the star of Groundhog Day to head up an effort to ban Groundhog Day. PETA is asking Bill Murray's help in trying to cancel the annual coming out ceremony. A PETA guy says you just have to take a look at the bewildered look in Punxsutawney Phil's eyes to know that it's cruel to drag him into the daylight with people screaming at him. We don't know who was more badly behaved, Marilyn Manson or fans at his concert in Australia. We hear some in the audience were pelting Manson with bottles and other objects. The shock rocker began screaming at the crowd, then left the stage after playing only a half set. 400 fans reported injuries. A former girlfriend says Larry Fortensky was bombed when he fell down some stairs last week. The girlfriend says Larry had been drinking most of the day. She says he was upset because his dog killed one of his ferrets.
Imagine what happened if he found out about the groundhog. Could be bad. That's the buzz. Next, how much is too much when it comes to working out? Inquiry looks at a new eating disorder, activity anorexia.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Scammon. Some snow in the forecast along with a little mix. We'll have all the forecast details for you coming up at 9:37.
Catch Minnesota 9 News at 9 when you're on the go with live radio simulcasts every weeknight on WMNN Radio, 1330 AM.
I think that they should not have all-day kindergarten because they need to just take it slow and see what a half day would be like, because they'd get really frustrated. And because I got a brother for myself, and he just likes going for half days. Thanks.
And thank you for calling the 9 line. We all hear it all the time. Exercise, it's good for you. And that's why this next story is an important warning.
Yeah, it's all about the exercise and eating disorder of the 90s. Now, some estimate that 60% of people, mostly women, have it, but hardly anyone has ever heard of it. Angela Hampton has tonight's inquiry.
After workout, everything was fine.
Working out was Jennifer's drug.
If I was stressed, if I had any anxiety, I'd go to the gym because I'd feel 100% better.
She got high on exercise.
And it's healthy, isn't it? It's better than going to a bar.
But 2 years ago, the gym became Jennifer's bar, and she became addicted to exercise. It started with an aerobics class.
Maybe 3 times a week is what it began with, and then it slowly increased maybe to 5 days a week, and then eventually it was every day, and then eventually it was twice a day.
With every workout, Jennifer felt better, but it also became less of a challenge, so she pushed herself harder and harder. Her ultimate goal, to run a marathon. But while she trained, her family and friends worried.
They were afraid because my weight started to drop.
They were also afraid because her personality changed.
Sometimes I would make up excuses why I couldn't attend certain functions because I had to get my workout in, that it was top priority.
The people who treat eating disorders are seeing more cases, mostly women between 15 and 30, knowingly or unknowingly overdoing it at the gym, working off every carefully counted calorie, obsessing over every exercise. It has no official medical term, but fitness pros call it activity anorexia or anorexia athletica.
A lot of people hadn't even heard about it.
Twin Cities fitness consultant Leslie Frisbee thinks that's because the problem grows slowly. It's hard to spot for both pros and the average person working out.
I would say upwards to 80% within the fitness industry itself. People who come to the gym, I mean, I've heard 60% thrown out, I've heard 50%, I've heard 70%. It's really hard to know because it's not classified.
Activity anorexia is such a newly recognized phenomenon that there's not much research on it. In fact, it's not even an official diagnosis like bulimia or anorexia nervosa. But there are similarities. First and foremost, this is an obsession. It's about control and self-worth. And doctors believe it's both a mental and biological disorder. And the physical consequences are very dangerous. Dr. Elke Eckert heads up the eating disorder clinic at the U of M. She says besides the obvious weight loss, burning more calories than you eat can kill you, or at least cause long-term damage.
Athletes who are really in training can lose their periods, which means their hormones aren't functioning well. They don't have enough estrogen, which means the bones are probably not going to be abnormal, not going to be normal after a period of time. They're going to develop osteoporosis, and that's really one of the dangers.
Right now, there's no clear-cut treatment. Like anorexia nervosa, doctors use counseling, nutrition lessons, self-esteem sessions, all to put balance back in their lives. Sometimes it takes antidepressants like Prozac.
And it's hard for them to change, even if they do listen. You know, we still know very little, actually, also about anorexia nervosa and how to best turn them around. But sometimes you have to hospitalize these girls.
Frisbee thinks exercise needs to come with a warning.
We, as a fitness industry, well, we helped to create this monster, and we need to do something about it.
And Jennifer wants people who've been through it to start talking about it. That's helped her most because she believes she had an addiction, not an eating disorder. She never deprived herself of food and never worried about her appearance until she lost too much weight.
I look in the mirror and I see someone who's way too thin.
But now Jennifer also sees someone who's getting balance back in her life, who wants to enjoy a workout, but no longer wants to live for it.
It's a great thing to do, but when it starts getting in the way of your life, that's when you know it can be a problem.
For now, there is help at the U of M Eating Disorder Clinic. You can call 612-626-6188. It's not a specific program for activity anorexia, but they're learning more as they see more patients. And Lifetime Fitness is starting a support group for people who think they might have this or know someone with activity anorexia. And a lot of the other clubs around town have personal trainers, even doctors on staff, who you should talk to about this as well if you think it's a problem. And it's a disorder really that's been around a long time. It's been prevalent in elite athletes, in marathon runners, gymnasts, but now we're just seeing it's more mainstream, and it's scary.
More and more people are getting into working out in the mainstream.
Well, that's the thing. It's a positive addiction. You think you're doing something good for yourself. Like Jennifer said, you know, I could be going to a bar to relieve tension. Instead, I'm exercising. That's supposed to be good, right?
Right.
But anything taken to an extreme is dangerous.
You know, it'd be kind of great if it was like in a nightclub or a bar. If they see you're in there too much or you've had too many drinks, they just got to cut you off. You're in the gym too many times a week, cut them off.
Maybe it'll come to that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Angela.
In Wired, time to crank your memory back to the 1980s. The post office wants the public to vote on 15 stamps to represent the decade. Some of the choices from the arts and entertainment category include the Cosby Family, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and those fabulous felines prowling the stage in Cats. There are 4 other categories to vote on. You can do it at this website or go to the post office. The deadline is the end of February. Stamps representing the 50s, 60s, and 70s have already been chosen. Pretty good music, huh, Robin? And to get to any of the sites we feature in Wired, simply go through our homepage at KMSP.com, click on the word News, and then click on Wired. Who's that group again? That's who it was? Oh, thank you. I remember the song. What a day. You need proof? Check out today's numbers. Go ahead, soak them in, and then stick around for Sam. He's just ahead with a look 7 days down the road.
Wednesday on UPN.
Execute orders.
The world watches as a tense standoff meets a tragic end.
The federal assault led to the deaths of 61 people.
On 7 days, Frank Parker and the Backstep team must go back in time to right a terrible wrong.
Who's that?
They're NSA.
Well, that's bad news.
Even if it costs them everything.
Carla Boyles broadcast a special report on what used to be America's most highly kept secret, Operation Backstep.
7 days.
Wednesday at 7 on UPN 9.
It's the use.
Weather with meteorologist Sam Scammon. Brought to you by American Family Insurance.
We keep sending Sam back to school hoping he'll learn something. Did you learn anything today?
No, my grandfather used to always say, I'd get home from school, he'd say, Sam, did you learn everything today, or do you have to go back tomorrow? And I said, I have to go
You're
back
still
tomorrow.
going back.
And I am still going back to this day. In fact, I was in Jeff's neighborhood, St. Louis Park.
Oh, yeah.
Some third graders from the Minneapolis Jewish Day School, and we had a great time.
Yeah?
I tell you, they had some great weather questions and some great computer questions as well. They were very interested in the software that I used to create all the graphics and animations. When I told them it was over $100,000, they went, ooh,
oh,
well,
no.
Never mind.
Not quite what they have in the classroom.
If I didn't, I made them up.
Okay, there you go.
Just like here.
Like a true professional.
Just like I do here every night, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, folks, I'm telling you, our weather headline tonight does include some snow in the forecast. Yes, snow likely, possibly mixing with some freezing rain and sleet as we progress into tomorrow morning. And how about all that sunshine today? Look at how gorgeous it was. And that enabled temperatures to climb up nicely into the mid to upper 30s. Right now, though, cloudy skies, 33 degrees. Dew point at 27, humidity 78%. Southwest winds currently 8 miles an hour, not producing much in the way of wind chills. It's not too bad out there, but the pressure is falling, indicative of a cool front and a area of low pressure moving our way. 29.53 inches of mercury, the barometric pressure. Elsewhere around the metro today for afternoon high temperatures, look at this. Here were lows this morning, 20 Eden Prairie, 23 Lakeville, 12 Hutchison, but they sure did rebound nicely. 37 for the afternoon high, almost pushing 40 in New Ulm today, almost pushing 40 in Crystal, 37 Blaine as well. And here's what's happening on the surface. Cool front off to the east of us. There's the storm system coming in from the northern Rockies. Again, another Pacific front. We are already seeing some clouds thicken across the Twin Cities skies and across the state for the most part. And then back in through the northern Rockies, we are seeing the snow developing along with the rain developing out that way as well. And it continues to move eastward, although we do think there will be some additional development of precipitation in through the Dakotas overnight tonight, and that could be moving into the Twin City metro area around daybreak tomorrow morning early, but mainly sometime during the morning hours with possibly a mix before it changes over to all snow later in the day into tomorrow night. So around the Midwest right now, 27 in Duluth, 39 currently Sioux Falls, 28 Fargo, and temperatures fairly mild for this time of the year. 22 Hibbing, the cool spot Roseau at 18 degrees. So lows tonight will be falling into the 20s across pretty much the entire state. And then high temperatures tomorrow topping out in the low to mid 30s. But we will see plenty of precipitation as this area of low pressure moves through. So we've got some snow. Excuse me. I'm getting all choked up because of this. Some snow central northern parts of the state, maybe a little frozen, icy mix from around the Twin City metro area southward, rain south of the border, and then it'll all change over to snow by afternoon. A few lingering flurries tomorrow evening, then things will be clearing out late. Some sunshine on the way for us for Thursday, and then yet another system poised to move our way as we head into Friday with another chance of some rain, freezing rain, or snow. These Pacific systems over the past couple of weeks have been the rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow producers, and that will continue. So in detail overnight tonight, the forecast does look like this. Thickening clouds, cool, lows falling into the mid to upper 20s. Then tomorrow, look for developing snow, possibly mixed with freezing rain and sleet at times. Once it changes over to snow, we could see about an inch of accumulation. Highs in the low to mid 30s. Then for tomorrow night, lingering evening flurries, otherwise windy and turning colder, and continued windy as we head into Thursday. But some sun, partly cloudy skies, another chance of some ice on Friday with snow, things drying out for the weekend, and then maybe a sprinkle or a flurry on Monday of next week. Weather pick, Tanner Erickson from Chaska. There's a fun wintertime scene.
Nice and colorful.
Yeah, there you go.
Good job, Tanner. Okay. Good job, Sam.
And that's weather. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill.
See
We
you at
learned
school.
something. Okay. One of football's greatest running backs talks about the rumors and the reality surrounding his sudden illness.
The sign says no golfing, but it says absolutely nothing about no digging. These prospectors think they are in the right place for the Winter Carnival Medallion. Yes, the hunt is heating up, and coming up in just a little bit, we're going to update you on the search for the big prize. Oh, yeah. Maybe he's going to find it. Dig! Dig, kid!
UPN 9 is proud to bring the Minnesota Twins to you this season. Starting now, on February the 6th and 7th, come on down to the Dome for Twins Fest 99. Meet and greet many current and former Twins players. Participate in live and silent auctions of sports memorabilia. Enjoy the free youth baseball clinics. Or challenge yourself with batting cages, a home run derby, the Pop Fly Challenge, and more. Twins Fest 99. Call for your tickets today.
Al, nobody beats the big man in the middle, but even I can't eat this whole encore entree. If I can't slam dunk these juicy, flame-broiled Salisbury steaks, nobody can.
Time out, big guy. Encore's a 2-pound family-size entree.
I don't have a family.
Then I'll bring mine. Your house at 5?
Cool.
Al, this Encore lasagna is...
Your place, 6 tomorrow.
We're tasting more, it's Encore.
Something wild has happened to fruit. Mott's Fruitsations. It's a unique fruit-blended applesauce that comes in 5 delicious flavors for your family to snack on. Mott's Fruitsations. Fruit has never come together like this before. Mott's means fruit.
No one works harder to earn your business. And we'll prove it. Free Metro delivery. Free installation when permitted. And free recycling of replaced units.
Choose from all the best brands. Get up to 1 year free financing. And special discounts on builder and remodeler packages.
The greatest selection and unbeatable savings on the best appliances every day. No one works harder to earn your business than your appliance specialist at Warner Stallion.
Things either fade away or change for the better. Today, life seems to be more hectic than ever. Thankfully, there is technology to make things easier. But when technology fails, it's nice to know there's someone you can count on to make things right.
I think the furnace is down.
For over 80 years, the people at Minneapolis Plumbing and Heating have been there when you needed them. Call the 1-hour emergency specialists and get it fixed right the first time. Call the Minneapolis Plumbing and Heating Company, serving the Twin Cities since 1918.
Confused about legal problems? Dial Lawyers. L-A-W-Y-E-R-S. Straight answers, sound advice.
Well, Jeff Grayson's got the night off, so Andy Skoogman is in the gray zone, and Walter Payton's serious medical problem is the topic tonight.
Yeah, a lot of rumors going around the last couple of weeks. He's been at Mayo Clinic, and we heard about that, but now we know for sure. Walter Payton first felt sick this past summer, but didn't get diagnosed till a couple weeks ago at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. He has a fatal liver disease called primary sclerosing cholangitis. Doctors say a transplant is Payton's only option for long-term survival.
Walter Payton, number 34.
Not many Viking fans cheered for Walter Payton on November 20th, 1977. That's when the Bearback set the NFL single-game rushing record, running for 275 yards against the Purple. But 22 years later, everybody's pulling for Payton.
Am I scared? Hell yeah, I'm scared. Would you be scared? But what can you do? You know, like I said, it's not in my hands anymore. It's in God's hands, and it's in the doctor's hands. And whatever they say that it's fit for me, that will happen. If it's meant for me to go on and to be around, I'll be around. If it's not meant for me, it won't be meant for me.
The 44-year-old Hall of Famer hasn't fought off tacklers in over a decade, but is now fighting such a rare liver disease, doctors don't know what causes it.
This disease is not related to alcohol ingestion, has nothing to do with viral hepatitis, such as hepatitis A, B, or C, has nothing to do with immune deficiency disease, has nothing to do with anabolic steroid use.
Payton's disease affects only 3 in 100,000 people. Doctors say without a transplant, he has only 2 years to live.
To the people that really care about me, just continue to pray. And for those who are going to say what they want to say, may God be with you also.
Now, Payton's already on the transplant waiting list at the Mayo Clinic. Doctors say he will not be given any priority status, but those who are the sickest do get highest priority. The Mayo's only one of 2 liver transplant centers in Minnesota, so there are fewer patients on waiting lists. In comparison, the Chicago area alone has about 5 facilities that do liver transplants, and the experts say that the waiting lists are longer.
So, good luck to him, and God bless him. Yeah. Thanks, Andy.
You bet.
Well, next, Stefan joins in for the search for the medallion.
Folks, your Colonel's shaking things up with my new extra crispy chicken. I double dip and double bread it so it's double crunchy. It's new and whew, tie down the furniture. Right now, get 8 pieces plus 6 of my honey barbecue wings, just $9.99. That price ain't gonna last, so shake a leg. Hold on, I said just a leg. At KFC, we do chicken right. And it's right crunchy, too.
I feel that all-day kindergarten is unheard of. Come on, they're only 5 years old.
I think it's a wonderful idea, especially for those kids who are a little slower than the other students. They can have a little more quality time and learn a little bit more.
Yes, I think it would be really good for children to be in school longer. It gives them more time with other children and more learning time.
Thank you for calling. Now, if you didn't find the Winter Carnival medallion today, you just can't blame it on the weather.
I didn't find it. The conditions were perfect for prospecting. Just ask Stefan.
Okay.
How long you been looking?
Since 1959.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's perseverance.
Oh, yeah. Got to keep trying at it, you know.
Is this the year?
This could be the year I'm in the right park. I know that.
And he's not the only one that thinks that. All these Winter Medallion prospectors think they're in the right park, and they're not afraid to tell the whole world.
World, it's on second base. We're standing within 3 feet of the medallion.
Wow.
The hunt is honed in on Conway Park. Consensus after today's clue is that the crooner in the comic with the same name, Conway Twitty and Tim Conway, Conway Park.
It says bring the treasure home, and that says home.
Play ball. Baseball season is a ways off, but the field is full.
It's in a baseball, guaranteed.
And you said if it wasn't, what would you do?
Eat socks.
Whose socks?
Well, I don't know. Mine, probably, because they're not bad.
Okay.
There's no shortage of confidence, and even a couple of close calls.
Now I work
standing on top of it. That's how close she's
I
been.
mean, the lady put her shoulder down behind and hit my back of my boot and hit the button in a brick.
Did she injure you?
My heart.
Let's face it, luck plays a part, but it can't hurt to harness the latest medallion hunting technology.
This thing's heavy.
Yeah, it's 10 pounds. It's a homemade treasure hunting rake that I made last year.
Trouble is, it didn't work then either.
I still haven't found a treasure yet, though. That's the problem.
Snow Brandy, the medallion hunting dog.
Effective?
We don't know. We're working on it.
And should Brandy come through?
If we can find it, we'll go right to the pet store and get treats. So she knows. See, it's somewhere around here. We know that.
$10,000? That'll buy a lot of biscuits. Go Brandy. Stephen Reynolds, Minnesota 9 News.
Now, there are 2 more clues to find the medallion, so check them out. Good luck. Seems to me like they're getting pretty close.
Well, they seem pretty determined out
They
there.
might get it with
Sounds like
one more clue.
Somebody will get it. You know, it's going to be the one person after everybody leaves, someone just stumbles on it and finds it.
What if that dog got it and ran off?
And they don't find the dog.
It'd be like a Disney flick.
Oh, it'd be pretty funny. Coming up next, if you like cute, we're going to send you at 10 to look at some triplets.
And then at 10, move to keep kindergartners in school all day. See if you think it's a smart idea. And in the Family Survival Kit, a link between antibiotics and your heart.
This is a soft side waterbed from Home Furniture. Maybe you didn't know that soft side waterbeds offer adjustable support for soothing relief from lower back pain. Maybe you didn't know you could use your own furniture and regular bedding. Maybe you didn't know that soft side waterbeds were so affordable. Maybe it's time you went to Home Furniture. Boyd soft side waterbeds from $4.99. Only at Home Furniture.
Nome, Alaska got some desperately needed diphtheria serum when Balto and his fellow sled dogs delivered it on February 2nd, 1925, after a 5-day dash that's now the annual Iditarod race. European leaders gathered in Geneva on February 2nd, 1933 to try to slow an almost inevitable drift toward another world war by limiting the size of European armies. Adolf Hitler refused. Another of the century's most notorious dictators formed a government in Uganda on February 2nd, 1971. Idi Amin would rule by terror for 7 years, then flee after losing a war he started. On this day in 1980, the FBI went public with a 2-year corruption investigation it called Abscam that had undercover agents posing as Arabs offering bribes to Pennsylvania Congressman Ozzie Myers and 3 other men. The House of Representatives would expel Myers. The Senate would do the same with Harrison Williams of New Jersey. He'd go to prison. On February 2nd, 1983, troops from 5 nations were occupying much of Lebanon. U.S. Marine Captain Charles Johnson banged his pistol on an Israeli tank to keep it out of a U.S.-controlled area of Beirut and created an international incident. Johnson would make news a decade later when he quit the Marine Corps to protest the Clinton administration's new policy on homosexuals in the U.S. military.
And 3 rare little girls went public for the very first time. The Berlin Zoo presented jaguar cubs born about 2 months ago. Both parents raised them, and that is extremely rare. Usually jaguars are loners, but these triplets were raised as a family. At 10's next.
Oofta.